It's Tab Tip Tuesday. I'm Jen Grover, and this week I'm mixing up the format a bit. You'll notice this week's video is longer than 60 seconds and also not shot in portrait orientation.
Hey, so yeah, I am Andrew.
Good morning. After a rainy night at my campsite in Mattie Ross, I'm awake and enjoying a beautiful morning. And 2 sites down from me is Andrew. Andrew is a brand ambassador for nuCamp and has this awesome tag behind us where he and his new wife took it on a long trip I'm going to let him tell you about.
Hey, so yeah, I am Andrew, and it is true. I am just kind of new to the nuCamp world. My wife and I, we got our tag probably about 6-ish months ago, and we took it on our 30-day honeymoon, lived out of it as we adventured across the United States. So a great way to get to know your significant other right when you get married, to make sure everything is good. And it was so much fun. We had a blast. I will say, my wife is a lovely woman because she put up with me vlogging every single day because I wanted to capture the amazing adventures that we went on. But we did so many cool trips, saw so many amazing things, and thankfully the tag, Gladys, she put up with us too and was perfect throughout the whole trip. So it was a blast, and now it's even more fun getting to hang out with other new campers like Jen.
So this is a tag. It's almost like the baby brother of a Tab 320. The 400 is the biggest tab, and then mine is a 320, Mattie Ross. And Gladys here is a tag with the @ sign, just like the Tab. And it is essentially your traditional teardrop camper. This is what really got the whole teardrop movement started decades ago. People wanted to see the country, and you'll see there's a lot of similarities. There's a storage box. But different than mine, the kitchen is outside. So this actually opens up and there's a sink. Oh, Andrew's gonna show us. Awesome. So like a clamshell on a Tab 320, there's a clamshell kitchen. Look how awesome that is. Microwave, little stove top, little sink. It's got a space for a cooler. And look how cute. I'm betting Rachel put the plants here, and awesome little silver backsplash with Andrew and Rachel's personal touch there. Very cool. I love the outdoor kitchen on this. Take a peek inside. Now, unlike the Tab, you don't stand up in a tag. You actually crawl in, and the bed is there. Oh, look. It's got an air conditioner. That would be a must-have for me. It's got a, I see Jensen Cube stereo like Mattie Ross. Oh, I love the little Westie, I think that is, Volkswagen camper picture there. More plants. It's really awesome. And of course, a fantastic fan. What camper would be set without a fan? While we were together last weekend, Andrew Chwalik from Small Town Chwaliks and I spent some time not only talking about our trailers, but also the things we have in common, like working remotely. So this week, both of us are going to sit down together and talk about some of the things we've learned while working remotely. So I'm really glad Andrew's here to talk with me about remote work because he did some on his honeymoon trip. And you all know I love to work remotely from my Tab. I'm going to be doing some this week. And I think it's really important that I am not showing any drop off in productivity when I'm working remotely, that I am available just like I am at home. I just thought it would be great to get Andrew's perspective and mine, and we're going to share some tips that we've both learned about how to conserve data, what you need to know about your data plan, what type of research would be helpful before you go. So Andrew, tell me about what it was like when you were traveling. Did you have enough data? Did you have trouble getting data? What did you do when you didn't have data?
Yeah, good question. So on the honeymoon, we were new campers, so we are very fresh. And we didn't necessarily plan as well as we should have in terms of needing to work and have connection all of the time. So it was a difficult experience because we didn't have a plan. So we based almost all of our connectivity off of data off of our cell phones. So that's really how we had connection to be able to work and to do things like that. So yeah, data was very important for us.
Do you use a MiFi or do you just use your phones?
We started with just using our phones because yeah, we're still rookies and we've not figured out all of the different techniques and different devices you can use. So yeah, we just base it off the hotspots off of the phones.
Yeah, I actually still use the hotspot on my phone.
Nice.
I haven't yet upgraded to a MiFi. If I'm going to be gone for more than a week in a month, it might make sense for me to upgrade to a MiFi and get a better data plan. But right now I'm just using my mobile hotspot too.
Nice.
Were you able to find signal everywhere you needed it?
I was actually surprised. So I have T-Mobile as a service and I knew that it wasn't the most reliable, but overall, like, we had fairly good reception in most places that we traveled to. So that was great. However, it wasn't necessarily strong enough to do some of the more data heavy work tasks.
Like video calling?
Yeah, so not the best video calling quality. Thankfully, we could still do calls, which was good. But yeah, we did have to have some video calls. So unfortunately, it wasn't the most reliable to have our data just off of our hotspots everywhere we went. So we had to stop at some parking lots for like libraries and Starbucks locations so that we could actually do some of those more data heavy video calls.
Yeah, that's tough. You know, I think one thing I learned when I was full-time in 2016 for a few months is that it's good to have a backup plan, right? If your data isn't going to work. There were times I was at a campsite for a week, and then on a Friday afternoon when the tourists invaded town, the data just crawled. And so I buzzed down to the library and used that as a backup, and that worked great. But it's a little tricky when you're on the road. You have to be prepared for the unexpected. What about signal? Was it strong in most places, or did it come and go?
It came and went for the most part. There were a few maybe more central locations kind of around cities that had better signal, but we were off kind of out in the middle of nowhere very frequently, so it was a bit spotty on that front. So yeah, it wasn't the most reliable solution for the duration of the trip.
Yeah, and if you don't know, Andrew and Rachel are all about small towns. So they weren't always in metro areas. Right. So they were out exploring these small towns that don't always have the best signal. We both grew up in small towns. Mm-hmm. So we know the town I grew up in, I think the service is still spotty. So I'm actually going to be installing a booster this weekend, a new one. I've used one in the past that's now a little dated. I'll be sure to share that installation with you when it's complete.
And Jen has some awesome tips because she's been living that remote work travel life much more frequently. So we're actually going to steal some tips from her as well, because when we went out on the honeymoon, like I said, we had no idea what we were doing. We just figured it'll work out. It doesn't really work out as well as you might think it does. So having a plan, like Jen was saying, is a great idea. Having a backup plan is also great. So it'll be a lot less of a headache and a stressor if you do plan and use some of the tips that Jen knows about as well.
Yeah, you know, one thing we were talking about earlier is just that the unlimited plans offered by cell phone carriers are never truly unlimited. They will slow down your speed after, and it varies by carrier. With Verizon, I think it's, depending on your plan, it's either 20 or 30 gigabytes, which you think that's a lot of data, and it is, but do a couple video calls and you'll find how quickly you burn through some of that data. So one of the things I've done is gone through my apps on my phone and limited which apps have access to using data in the background, because it's like it's almost like the parasitic drain in your camper. It's the parasitic data drain on your cell phone plan. Did you guys experience any throttling when you were traveling?
We did, yeah. So I knew all along that the unlimited plan is not necessarily unlimited, unfortunately. So once you hit that data threshold, they decrease your speeds. So not a fun experience, but I was like, oh, I knew about it, but I don't think it really happens to people. Let me tell you, it absolutely happens. It happened on our honeymoon. once we got maybe 2 weeks in, we saw that drop of speed happen quickly just because we were doing a lot of data heavy things and watching and downloading movies. That was another data heavy thing that we did while we were inside of our tag. So it's not the most fun experience. So yeah, like Jen was saying, you do want to make sure that you're kind of aware of the data usage that's happening. And another important thing, kind of track the data usage that's happening while you're using your data hotspots with your phone so that you kind of know where you are in terms of your data usage.
Yeah, there are apps you can use for that. Some of the phones have it built in, so just keep track because you don't want to be caught by surprise when you're needing it for work. That's like the worst thing. You know, one thing I use for finding good campsites that have good strong cell service is campendium.com. When users submit a review, they rate their cell phone usage, and sometimes people will be kind enough to even list their upload speed so you can tell was it weak or really weak or non-existent. And it's been a huge help for me. I use that all the time when I'm looking for campsites where I can work. Did you have any tools you use to find campsites?
Yeah, so we use Campendium the same way as well. So once we started learning, oh yeah, we do need to find places that have pretty good signal, we started using that. The Dirt app, when you reserve campsites, a lot of times reviews will also mention how the quality of the signal is for different cell providers. And it is important to know which cell provider you have because each one will have different quality of reception at different campsites. So paying attention to that and then seeing those reviews is very helpful.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't use the Dirt, so maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's not a bad
Awesome. So these are just a couple of tips. Honestly, we could probably talk for hours about working remotely, and maybe we'll talk about some of the other features besides data and cell phone in another video, just workspace and how to make it more, you know, professional, I guess, when you're in a camper, all those type of things. But Andrew, I appreciate you sharing that information, what you learned while you were on your trip. It's great to have you on the channel, and I know you'll be back.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Thanks for having
Awesome.
me. It's always fun to talk about it.
Cool. What about you? How do you find cellular signal when you're camping and need to work remotely? Do you use an unlimited data plan, a MiFi, or some other option? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you left me a comment, hit the like button, and if you haven't already done it, please subscribe. It really does help me out. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.